not cough on camera, Jeremy. People will. You know what? No, cough. If people say things in the comments, that's good.
You know how we would go viral? Just like with no shame, just cough on our faces directly.
Welcome to the podcast.
People
This fucking thing,
lose
man.
their
I
mind.
hate this fucking thing. Oh my god.
There you go.
Welcome, everyone, to the JoyCircuit podcast. Today, as usual, I'm joined by Jeremy Holden and Alex Tanner. And today we're going to jump into a discussion of some of the greatest open worlds ever seen in video games. So today we're going to wax poetic over some of the most engaging, jaw-dropping open world settings ever presented to us in open world games. The focus here is not on the games themselves, but on the inherent quality of the worlds in which the games are set. So, in no particular order, here are our picks for the greatest open world games in video game history. You guys stoked for this? Or what?
I'm stoked, Joe.
Alex is like, I played one game on here. I played one game.
2.
2 games.
Only 2.
You're not a big open world fan.
No, I'm not. Too much. You know what? Life is busy enough.
About once a year, I get really into an open world, and that'll be it for like a month or two.
Yeah.
And then after that, I need a break. I'd say I can do open worlds about really get into an open world about twice a year. But those 2 times a year, man, it's the best.
Yeah, I feel like my bar for quality of an open world has increased because it's just such a huge commitment to jump into one.
It's true, and there's so many, and like a lot of them aren't doing too much different,
Every open world has to up the game a little bit, add something that hasn't been seen before. And I feel like now a lot of games are just going bigger, and I don't think that's the answer, Bigger is just more overwhelming and more time consuming. So not necessarily better quality.
Since we're on the topic of just open worlds, in general, I feel like for me, there's a sweet spot with games in general. I feel like open worlds almost have to be so open that there's no pressure on you. When I'm in a game and I feel like, oh my God, I have to go here, but then I see this over here and I see this, and I should be doing that. I get overwhelmed because I'm just like, there's
A lot of people have that problem.
Yeah, there's too much going on, and I have a lot going on in reality that I'm like, I already have so many things in my head that I need to do. This is too much. That's why I think one of the games in here, which we'll talk about, was freeing from that.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is also true for single player, or for more linear games. I feel like there is a level of like open worldness of exploration required to make them function properly. I feel like when games are too linear, actually.
Well, you look at the
destroys
most
experience.
linear games, that everyone thinks about, like Final Fantasy 13, obviously.
Yeah.
Extremely linear. They even had an open world section, but it didn't balance out that linearity.
But you know what game I felt like had enough little wiggle room in it?
What was that?
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I don't think there's really much openness to that game, but I think that's a linear game that works more in the line of like Final Fantasy X. I think more of like, games that are linear but have they seem like they're more open. Like that's why I love Naughty Dog. Uncharted 4 and Last of Us Part 2.
They're
Those games are very linear, but they kind of trick you in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And that's besides like the actual levels that are like, there are some open levels in those games, but
Yeah. So this is actually a good point because we're just saying open world. I guess there's kind of a spectrum as to what an open world is. So
for sure.
Really, the way that I define an open world, especially for this, is it should be fairly seamless. Like there should be minimal load screens. You should be able to do a large amount of the content in kind of just walking from point A to point B.
For me, what defines open world, like in my mind, is like, oh, you see that thing off in the distance? You can go there.
Yeah.
That's open world to me.
Yeah, for the most part, I think I would agree. Like I would say a game like Final Fantasy 12 obviously has large open sections, but to me it's not open world.
No, it's definitely not.
So I think that's a good way to kind of define how we are defining.
Yeah, and like generally, you're not having loading between, like if you're on the map, you're not loading into anything.
Yeah.
You might load into if it's a cutscene or something, depending on how well the game runs.
Yeah.
But generally, that's the thing. It's seamless. The sort of seamlessness.
So really what you're saying is just the idea of choice. If the player has a choice, a decision to make on where to go, because really, a linear game you can't. You're pushing one direction.
Yeah.
Open world.
Linear game, there's invisible walls all around you.
Yeah.
And in an open world game, there's shouldn't be many of those, and if they are, like they should be really well hidden.
Yeah,
There should be
you
options.
could have sections like, or you could be limited in your exploration for a long period, but at some point the world has to open up and you
Yeah.
can do what you want.
Yeah, you're only limited by like where your character can go. Like your character can't climb up a mountain. He's
Yeah.
not a fucking superhuman.
Yeah.
You know, so you can't actually get to that spot. You know,
Unless you are.
or in like The Witcher 3, which we'll talk about, like you can fucking you can get up some places that you shouldn't be able to go just by rolling and like being elite. You know,
Yeah.
Skyrim too.
Yeah. All right. So now that kind of our definition of an open world's out of the way, let's jump in again in no particular order. Our best open worlds in video game history. So, and I want to stress this is number one, but this is not in particular order. I'm not saying that this is the best open world.
Yeah.
But this is The Continent, simply called The Continent from The Witcher 3.
You see it right here, folks.
Yep.
Displayed behind you. If you're ever wondering what that map is, it's the continent.
The Continent. So the world of The Witcher 3, like the continent itself, it has no special name. It's simply known amongst its inhabitants as the world. It's a dark, unforgiving medieval land dominated by humans, but inhabited by traditional fantasy races, including elves, dwarves, gnomes, and halflings, alongside fantastical beasts and monsters such as vampires, dragons, trolls, and merpeople. The focus of the series so far, amongst the 3 games that have been released, has been the northern kingdoms of what we call the continents, specifically the major kingdoms being Kedwin, Temeria, Redania, Skellige, and Aedirn. Though the last one we don't really visit, particularly, I don't think we visit it in Witcher 3.
All about that Northern Realms deck.
Exactly. So these are all kingdoms which are trying to stem the tide of the powerful and extensive Nilfgaardian Empire coming up from the south. This is just one of the many layers of conflict and strife explored within the world, though, alongside interworld conflict between an elvish civilization from another plane of existence and the endless local conflicts in the world between men and monsters. Additionally, in the expansion, we go to the Nilfgaardian Duchy of Toussaint. Despite the fantasy trappings, the world of The Witcher has a highly realistic art style with heavy European influence, which makes you feel like you've been transported into a world of old European fairy tales and nightmares. Much of the world has yet to be explored, either in game or in the books that the games are based on. We've yet to travel any further south than Toussaint, into the Nilfgaardian Empire, and we still don't know what's across the Western Sea or over the mountains to the east. There's huge potential for future games to keep exploring this world. Tie that in with the fact that there are extra planes of existence to which certain people with certain powers can travel, and this world is literally as endless and mysterious as it is immersive.
That's beautiful. I think that was well put.
Thank you.
I love the continent. Shit, I don't know what to say after all that. Where do I go from that? So you mentioned you feel like you're stepping into like a fairy tale. Definitely get that vibe with The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
A lot of folklore there in that world. Taken from, a lot of folklore taken from, obviously real like, European folklore.
Yeah.
But those influences are there. But the world feels very lived in and alive and believable. All the inhabitants of that world, like they feel like they live there. That's a really cool thing about the continent. You mentioned there's like halflings and elves and all these like typical fantasy, monsters. But
Yeah,
a lot of them are like drunk or like slightly inappropriate or like a little bit racist or like weird. Like there's like a little bit of nuance there to those characters. It's not just straight like copy and pasted fantasy, monsters.
Yeah, I feel like typically when you see like elves and stuff, they have like, you have a human kingdom and an elf kingdom, and there's elf lords and human lords and blah, blah, blah. In The Witcher 3, yes, there's like the mystical elves from another plane, but really the elves are like these brigands that have been forced into hiding because their civilization was pretty much wiped out.
And they're like oppressed, yeah.
Exactly.
And exactly.
And so they have a big hatred for humans. So there's, a lot of depth to different
And there's like
elements.
there's pogroms and all this shit that's going on. Like there's like elves being burnt at the stake and stuff. Like there's a lot of political like undercurrent there between the races, and like it's not all like harmonious. Like it's more like what you would expect, in terms of any kind of civilization. There's a little social unrest and a little bit of, anxiety and grief between the different races.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very, very interesting in that way. Like, and in terms of the actual openness of the world, like there's very distinct regions within that world, which makes it feel cool. Like makes it feel like when you're in the south, you're in the more like swampy region. Like you get towards, you mentioned, Nilfgaard's in the south. You kind of come to that military encampment at the bottom. You kind of see like the walls of like Nilfgaard and like what Nilfgaard would be. So you get a little taste of it there.
Yeah.
You have Velen, which is a war-torn, country. It's all very barren, and a lot of the people there are very like simple, and they believe in, what witches tell them and stuff. They take advice from these sort of shady sources. And you get more to the northern part. You have more of the, the city life and the sort of like high society and whatnot, and different things going on.
Yeah, it feels believable to me. And I think I like what you said about like it feels lived in. I know when I'm in Novigrad and they've got witch hunters everywhere, you really feel like you got to keep your head down.
Yeah.
Because they're coming for you, and and I think you can like provoke them too, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely feels lived in.
And it's interesting to see the different regions, like the way they react to Geralt. As he's someone who's not necessarily liked by all members of society. You see, the witch hunters, they spit on him, literally sometimes. And, when you're in those regions of Velen, like people are more prone to be like, oh, witcher, like I can use your help. Like you're a smart person, you're a strong person. Like,
Exactly.
So it's cool to
He's
see
like
the
respected
difference.
somewhat.
Exactly. He's respected in, some of the more dour sort of areas of the world.
Feels overwhelming. Though I am excited to watch Henry Cavill take me through the world.
I would say though that like The Witcher 3 is not that bad for being like overwhelming in that there's too many things to do. To me, it feels like once you get out of White Orchard, it's like you just go whatever direction you want to go in first, and you do whatever you want to do first. And
Is there missables?
Yeah.
See, that's that right there.
yeah,
I got the platinum, and it can drive you crazy.
you got to forget about that.
But really, the way to properly play it is to just, like what Joe said, go with it.
Yeah.
Go gravitate towards the quests that seem cool, man. And a lot of times in that game, you'll be doing a small little quest, and it'll turn into something huge and be like, oh, shit.
It surprises you.
You just got to go with it, man. Because that is where the strength of The Witcher, its open world and its quest really lies, in those little moments that like you see so much of. And but you have to look, you don't have to look for them, but you have to just have your eyes open.
Do you want PS5 upgraded version?
Oh,
maybe
fuck.
that'll be the time.
We should talk about that, because that just got announced. I'm going to 100% play through that game again on PS5. With the load times, the worst part of the game, and I'm so excited to have probably no load times. Like, wow, fuck
Well,
yes.
then maybe I'll try and play it too, and we can do a podcast on.
Yeah.
We can all replay it.
We can do another Witcher episode. That would be amazing.
Witcher 3 felt lived in. I would say the same holds for the next one. So our second world that we're going to cover as one of the greatest open worlds is the world of Tamriel. Seen most popularly in Skyrim, but it's covered in pieces in Oblivion and in Morrowind, and before that in I don't know, in much
Daggerfall?
less graphical fidelity, but still open world in Daggerfall. And then of course in its full glory, so to speak, in the Elder Scrolls Online. So the world of Tamriel, while previously a big mystery world like the world of The Witcher, has been much more extensively explored, obviously. This world also has its fair share of European influence, but it's much more of a mashup of, I would say, ancient Roman with Nordic influence, along with more traditional high fantasy Lord of the Rings style races and cultures. There's ancient civilizations, divine gods, and gods amongst men playing a much more significant role in the world. Much of the conflict in this world focuses on conflict with and amongst the gods, and amongst an old and oppressive empire which is past its golden age, yet trying to hold its influence over a diverse world of elves, Argonians, and men.
Joe, I don't want to interrupt you, but what is this?
What is what?
What is the old race?
The old race? What?
The race that's losing its power.
Oh, it's just humans.
Oh, just humans.
But it's just so this is the more Roman style humans.
Oh, okay.
I guess it's Cyrodiil is the seat of the empire. And
Yes.
they're very just Romanesque.
Okay, yeah.
So it kind of reminds you of the fall of Rome a little bit.
Okay. Sweet.
With an almost unmatched amount of lore, the world's extremely rich. It's probably the richest lore-wise of the worlds that we're going to cover.
It's up there.
And there's many unique regions to explore. It's also beautiful and geographically interesting to explore. There's countless caves, dungeons, cities, and towns, and a plethora of factions to join or interact with. This is a world that's much more about exploration than about following a main narrative. And also, you can harness the power of dragons. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you got those Dragonborn, man.
Yeah.
I remember in that game, like, getting the encounters with the dragons was pretty cool. And then, like, you do, like, 100 of those encounters with the dragons, and it's like, okay, come on.
Yeah.
Kind of losing me on the excitement of running to a fucking dragon.
But some of the
Love
like
dragon
final confrontations with dragons are pretty epic.
I remember the last quest, I think, like, in the game, like, you go to a different realm. You go to some different realm, you fight the dragon god or something.
Something like
It's
that.
been a while since
It's been a
Skyrim.
while.
For me, Skyrim was my first open world. This kind of exposed me to the whole genre. I was pretty much, I wouldn't say I was against open world, but I never really had much interest in it before that game. And I think just sort of the meme nature of Skyrim at the time, and just the fact that everyone was playing it, I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a try. And I really loved it. Everything you said about that game is true. There's a lot of lore. You know, I'm just hearing you talk about it just then. I'm kind of remembering all the different, factions and whatnot. The Thieves Guild,
Yeah.
which I'm pretty sure they're in multiple Elder Scrolls games.
I think they're
It's
in
a cool
pretty
thing.
much all of them.
The
yeah.
Dark Brotherhood,
There's like the Morag Song
Cyrodiil,
and-
and then
Yeah.
you're talking about the elves and stuff. Like, it's coming back to me now, and there is a lot there.
yeah. And the big thing too is like the world is very old, and so it has so much lore because the world's old and there's so much known about the history. Like there's entire history books within the shelves of the game. You just pick up random books, read them,
Yeah.
and learn about history of the world. So that's one thing that I think sets it apart too.
Yeah, and I love how each like, I know we're talking about Skyrim mainly, but I love how each game in the series is focused on a specific region within this greater open world. Like, I think Elder Scrolls Online, that's why everyone was extremely excited for it, to see the entire world of Tamriel together. Maybe it's not exactly what people would want, but like, I do still envision someday Elder Scrolls whatever, where it's just one full fucking Tamriel. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that would ever be possible, but it would be pretty damn cool.
It would be nice if they could do it in as much detail and immersion as the single player games.
Yeah.
I have played around with the Elder Scrolls Online a bit. And like one of the first things I did is when the Morrowind expansion came out, I was like, I'm going to go to Morrowind and see how it compares to the actual game. And everything is where it's supposed to be, and the scale is like pretty well correct. The only problem is like you're off in this backwood area like of a volcano, and then you've got 30 people with like colorful little banners over the head, bunny hopping around. It's just, it's not the same.
It's not the same as being in first person, picking up a fucking book, reading it, putting it back on the shelf, and going off and doing a quest and all that. Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And something about the first person vibe of Elder Scrolls is just very, very appealing to me. And I wouldn't say it's unique in video games, but it seems unique in like, at least in today's age, for RPGs and like open world games. I mean, that's not really true because like Cyberpunk and stuff, but having a sword and like magic in one hand and like going through the world and experiencing that way is like, I don't know, it's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's scarier when there's like a bear coming at you. When you're first person, it's in your face. Than if it's third person. I don't know. Something seems more intimidating.
I even think about like some of the early quests in Skyrim where you're like going up into the mountains to like these crypts, and like there's the Draugrs and whatnot. They're coming at you in these like, these caverns that are pretty narrow and whatnot. And it's kind of freaky. It's a lot. You have a little bit more. There's a more of an experience there in first person, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Prediction. We'll have an Elder Scrolls TV show announced within a year and a half.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. It really doesn't lend
It's owned by
itself
Microsoft.
to a TV show.
It's gonna get a Witcher style TV show.
It really shouldn't.
I don't know, man. Because the thing, like,
I would normally be hyped.
The
but
Witcher has Geralt.
Yeah.
He's a great main character. With Elder Scrolls, that's going to be some
And
some random person that like you don't care about.
The Witcher 3, The Witcher in general,
It
The
might,
Witcher
it
3,
might very well happen though.
yeah, The Witcher 3 and Witcher in general has a very strong narrative driving. Like it's comes from books.
Yeah.
It's got a very coherent storyline. The world of the Elder Scrolls, honestly, the stories have never been strong. Like the main campaigns have never been strong.
What if not this E3, next E3, Microsoft and Bethesda come out and they show Elder Scrolls, whatever the next one is. What are we at? 6. And then it introduces like your character, but then it highlights these NPCs.
Okay.
And then these NPCs, right after that, it transitions to live action, and there's a show surrounding these NPCs that's of a story that's going on the side.
Okay. And it's a teen drama.
No, it's not a teen drama. It's not a teen drama. But what if they do that? What if they?
That's Joe's favorite genre.
Prediction.
No.
Prediction. Mark it.
You know what?
You are a character in Skyrim, though. You're the Dragonborn. You're not just completely nameless. You're something. People address you as this person.
Like take the Empire in Cyrodiil and have like a main character that's either like the Emperor of royalty, and then just build it out around that or something.
And that's true because I can't remember a single name of a character in Skyrim.
No,
really,
I can't.
But in The Witcher, I can remember a lot of like, obviously. I'd say that the main characters in Witcher are like way stronger compared to like the main cast of like
Makes
an
sense.
Elder.
It's a character-driven game,
Yeah, exactly.
as opposed to Skyrim. Really is not.
It's very lore-driven, extremely lore-driven.
So this next one is a world that really needs no introduction, and while it harkens back to the early days of video games, no game has opened the world up to the extent of 2017's The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and of course, we're talking about Hyrule. While open world games by definition offer a high level of freedom, for Breath of the Wild, freedom to explore is absolutely central to the game experience itself. From the very start, you simply pick a direction and start moving. From climbing epic mountains to stunning panoramic vistas to soaring the skies from lofty peaks to the depths of forest, ravines, and even to deserts, this world packs a huge amount of stark diversity. While it's perhaps a much less geographically realistic world than many others, it's hugely accessible and an absolute blast to explore in a way that more realistic worlds simply can't be. So, here's your chance, Alex. You've done this one.
I want to jump into Breath of the Wild.
Do it.
It's so good, man. It's such a good game. See, this solves the problem I have with open worlds. You don't start this game and feel like you have, 100 side quests to do. You open this game and you're naked.
Yeah.
And you put on your clothes and you walk outside and there's an old guy and there's an axe and you're just off.
Yep.
You're just off to go explore.
I want to say most classic way to start a video game, waking up and or like coming out of like some sort.
Well, Skyrim did, right?
How many games do that? It's amazing.
It's great. I don't even know, like, have we done a podcast on Breath of the Wild? We have, right?
We talked about it in our Games of the Decade,
Yeah.
and I think we might have mentioned it.
I don't know how this hasn't had its own podcast.
Well, because we really started the podcast after it had already been over.
You're waiting for me to finish it, probably.
Probably. This game is amazing. This is, along with 7 Remake, those two games for me are like the games of the past, like, last 15, almost 20 years. It's just, it never stops. It never ends. There's just so much to see and do. There are complaints, obviously. Like, I wish there were more towns. I wish there were like classic Zelda dungeons. If they had 3 or 4 of those in there too, it would be a perfect game.
But the puzzle dungeons are really fun.
The shrines, they're super fun.
Does the term "lived in" apply to Breath of the Wild? Because I feel like that's an issue with this game.
So it's the opposite. It's literally looks like the world ended and was grown over. So lived in, no. Surviving in, yeah. And you see it in that if you go to like the east, you go past the mountains and you go, there's is it Hatino village, I think, where there's like the wall where like the Guardian Stop and Link originally died, and you go past that and there's a lot more people walking around, and you go up and there's like an actual full town, and it's one of the only like human civilizations that like fully was intact after.
Yeah.
So there's pockets,
And there's story reasons for that.
yeah, exactly.
But I guess people don't spread out from towns. They stay very close to the towns.
Well, in this world still, there's monsters everywhere. Calamity Ganon's still free. There's guardians everywhere that could just blow you up.
Well, I
with
only
lasers,
I probably played for 3 or 4 hours, and I met that old dude who gave me the glider. It's the
Right.
only person I've encountered.
Yeah.
King.
Yeah, the king, whatever he is.
So that's, I mean, you don't. There's not a lot. It's a lot of nature. It's a lot of It's just a lot of exploring
Yeah.
and climbing mountains and running around in the wild. Like they named it properly.
Yeah.
And in that sense, it's. I mean, they really did a good job with the name because it's like a breath of fresh air. It's just not. It doesn't wear you down. It doesn't feel heavy. It's just a very light game. It's just you're out having fun, exploring. I freaking love it. It's so good. I'm so pumped for the sequel, which we're hearing about sometime in the next how many months? 6, 8 months.
I feel like just not constantly, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but not having like a quest marker all the time, like in your face, like, and having like, the HUD all cluttered with all this different shit that you have to go to and things you're tracking. Am I correct? Breath of the Wild doesn't have.
They have quests. There is a quest system, but it's very like I don't think I did 90% of the quests in that game.
Can you
just
edit the
stumbled upon
UI
it.
too? Can you edit the UI to make it less intrusive
I
even?
think so.
There's like almost like a more of an exploration mode where you just
think
use
so.
the environmental cues more to guide you.
believe so,
Yeah.
but honestly, I think even you kind of have to go to your map to see anything. Like you can put markers in the wild. You can open up your little camera thing and like put a big green light over there if you want to get to that shrine.
Yeah.
So you can like take high ground, look around,
Yeah.
find where you want to go, and ping it.
Yeah.
To give yourself a way there. But again, they didn't want it to be. You have a quest way over here. Follow this arrow.
That's what I mean.
They want it to
That's
be.
what I mean.
You pick your own route. You find where you want to go, and go for it.
You explore yourself.
Yeah.
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 And again, you were talking about climbing mountains. This game, you can do that. You can climb up walls.
You
And
kind
I
of have
like the
to. Like, you
verticality.
can't
I like
avoid
it.
it.
Yeah.
I like that that's a possibility because that's what you want to be able to do in a game where you're exploring. You want to be able to climb the mountain without feeling like you're breaking the game to do it. Like you're
Yeah.
not actually supposed to be doing it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to get another try. I've been playing some Zelda again lately. There's been a lot of Zelda in my life. And
That's the funny thing. Joe was like, it's not realistic. And it's like, it is Hyrule, though. If you know Zelda, it's Hyrule. It is
Yeah.
what you expect Hyrule
And I feel
is.
even Zelda, even though most of the other games are way more linear, there always has been that sense of like exploration in Zelda. It's always
yes.
coursed through that series.
Yeah, even the 2D ones, you're right.
even like the Game Boy ones,
Yeah.
like those, they fit a lot of exploration into those tiny little maps. It's pretty crazy. So like, yeah, I've only played it a little bit, but I can only imagine the possibilities
Yeah.
in an open world Zelda.
All right, so changing gears, we have Los Santos from Grand Theft Auto 5, which is really a stand-in as the most recent in a line of excellent worlds built by Rockstar for their GTA games. This game does an excellent job of creating a highly fictionalized version of Los Angeles, capturing the stereotypical lives of its residents of all classes and backgrounds, and recreating and exaggerating its cultural excesses. This is a world where, unlike many others, you don't necessarily want to be the good guy, as it's a much more fun to be a rampaging machine of chaos, destruction, and self-enrichment. From robbing banks, stealing cars, planes, boats, tanks, and whatever else isn't nailed down, to interacting with the craziest and most crooked characters you can imagine, this is a world to blow off steam and get lost in a crazy adventure. So, you guys didn't play this, right?
No,
Like, at all.
no, but I
Alright.
will say, Rockstar, pioneers of the open
Pioneers.
world genre.
Pioneers, yeah, because now they're not even doing it anymore. Pioneers are basically, I guess, inherent in that is that they used to do it. Like the pioneers of old exploring the West. They don't explore the West anymore.
No.
They just found it and we're like, you know what?
Well,
Here
that's
we
the
are.
thing.
We're in the West
There's
now.
only so much to explore.
Rockstar found GTA 5 and they're like, here we are.
I
We're
mean,
done.
like Grand Theft Auto 3, though. Like Grand Theft Auto 3 did more for open worlds than probably
Yeah.
most games did, right?
that is true.
And this is the evolution. This is just the more, the more, I don't know,
Yeah. I think,
mainstream. This would be the more mainstream current pick, right?
yeah. This would be definitely the more mainstream pick. I feel like GTA and like Morrowind, they were both kind of like revolutionary to the genre. Probably other ones in there too. Like, I mean, we'll have probably more on the list to come.
Yeah.
That were, but yeah, I think what I kind of said already says it all about this game. I only played the single player campaign. I refuse to play online just because I want them to make another single player game. So I don't want to reward them with my money if they're not doing that.
Oh, they don't need your money, Joe.
They have plenty of money, but no, it definitely a lot of fun. I always am tempted to go back and just do the single player again. It's just crazy fun.
Yeah.
If you want something that's not heavy, this is a game that's not heavy. You can play the campaign, but you can just jump in cars, go run people over, hop out, shoot a bunch of people, get in a cop chase.
Doesn't sound heavy at all. Just mass
explode.
murder.
Well, yeah.
But I get what you say,
casual,
but it's a
man.
good game to blow off steam with, because it's very much, although there is like, you can kill prostitutes, you do all sorts of weird shit. It's done in a very like easy breezy kind of, well, this is just fun kind of way.
I would literally feel bad. I can't play this. I'm just a weird human. I can't play this kind of games.
I've never been drawn to Grand Theft Auto generally, but there are a lot of things I appreciate about it, like especially like getting in your car and having this amazing soundtrack in every game and like having multiple stations. True. I fucking appreciate the shit of that sort of thing.
You know what, Jeremy? You can do that in real life.
I know you can do that. You do it in real life, but you know what you can't do in real life also is fucking kill people in broad banks while you're listening to sick music.
That's true.
And be getting chased by the police, but also be listening to some jams. Like, I don't know.
Quick side note: while we're talking about cars and cool jams, you know what game we're missing on here?
What's that?
Final Fantasy 15. Get in your car, your flying car, throw on some old classic Final Fantasy tunes, flying with your boys.
I thought that honestly 15 would be in this running order, and I'm glad it's not. But I think it's good to I think it's good to point out that like that type of open world game, which I would call the sort of Japanese take on the open world game.
Okay.
The open world where there's nothing to do in it, and you just go, you see a little glint on the ground, you pick up that little thing.
Okay.
And that's the Japanese open world to me.
It's
Am I wrong though?
It's a pretty.
Like here's this glint over here. Oh, I got a fucking ether. Sweet. I have 100 of those.
I mean, when I think Final Fantasy 15, I think to like just sitting there and looking around, be like, completely empty. The world's just too empty to really be included in here, and it's just not alive enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. And maybe it could make an honorable mention.
I feel like the open world is.
But
I feel like the game.
Yeah, you
all
can
the
pick-
good things about the game would still be good. Possibly better if it wasn't an open world.
And I mean, the game aside, you compare it to the other open worlds in this list, it really doesn't belong next to them in terms of how
it
well
didn't do
executed
anything
it
better
was,
than-
the like visual appeal of it, just how much life there is put into it.
See, I think there just wasn't enough context. I think originally their plan was probably that's the boonies, the city's the main part, and
It's fairly
originally
small, I'd say.
it is. But from what I understand, originally they were supposed you and Noctis and all the guys were supposed to leave whatever the city Lucis is, I don't know what the city's called. The big city, the big population hub. So you were supposed to see the
there's
civilization.
a whole other half of the world you were supposed to see.
And then you go out to the boonies to escape to stay hidden. And they should just they had enough towns, they should just built it up and added more NPCs and stuff. But just not enough context.
They'll get it right with FF7 Remake Part 2.
Oh my god. I don't
The Caribbean world crafted in Assassin's Creed Black Flag is likely the most fun you can have in an Assassin's Creed game. And while on its own it likely doesn't rival some of the other worlds on this list, it does serve as the banner world created within a series of games which constantly pump out fun to explore, historical and realistic feeling open worlds on an impressive scale at an impressive pace. Unlike many games in the series, in Black Flag there are no large cities to run around, and instead we explore the... Oh, shit. This one's not as well written as the others.
Joe, it's fucking beautiful. It sounds like poetry, like literal. It's like a symphony of words.
Instead, we explore the often wild and uninhabited areas of lightly settled colonial Caribbean. While it's fun to run around in jungles, climb trees, explore lost islands, and hunt for buried treasure, what really shines in Black Flags is simple sea exploration. This is a world that captures the experience of being a pirate in a lawless maritime world like no other. Future games in this series have tried to recreate the naval experience, but none have captured the sheer fun of sailing around, singing sea shanties in your pirate ship, like Black Flag.
just one other game.
So yeah, I just want to mention one other game that does this, Joe, and it's Kingdom Hearts 3.
Okay.
The Caribbean in Kingdom Hearts 3, one of the best open worlds.
It's actually not
ever.
Bad. It's actually not that bad. It's actually pretty decent. There's
It's
a lot
not
of
bad at
islands
all.
to explore.
I'm completely genuine when I say that. I fucking love it.
There's ports. Like it's actually
Basically what you're describing, except there's also There's like crabs that you can collect.
Yeah,
Can
the
you
little
blow up
crabs.
other
Oh,
ships?
man.
Can you blow up other ships?
Yeah.
With cannons?
Heartless
There's
ships.
naval combat.
Damn, that
I
does
feel like
sound
it's
fun.
very inspired by that game, but also inspired by Pirates of the Caribbean because that's what it's
100%.
based off
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
But I'm like, whew.
Nice.
But
I'd
Assassin's
play it.
Creed Black Flag.
I'd play it just for that.
You'd
I've
like
never
it.
played a Kingdom Heart
Kingdom's hard.
game. I've used all my words for today.
You've said some great words.
My
Joe.
words is just done.
This would be the one that I would play.
Yeah.
For
Of
sure.
all the Assassin's Creed.
It's the one everyone talks about. Everyone, like, not just you guys, my friends, but like other people on the internet. Like, this is the one that people are always like, yeah, fucking bring back Assassin's Creed 4. Like,
Yeah.
that was the shit.
Yeah, I agree. This is the one I always recommend to people. If you don't like Assassin's Creed, play this one. You'll like it.
Yeah.
And you're going to get around to it one of these days.
I own it.
Do they have did they bring it to PS4? Like, in like a upgraded?
thought they
Because it was a
did,
PS3 game, was it not?
You can definitely get it on PS. Yeah. Yeah. I think you can just buy it as a part of a package too.
You probably literally get it for $3.
Rogue was good too. So Rogue was basically almost like a throwback to this.
Okay.
It was like I feel like they were like, oh, people like Black Flag. Let's make Rogue more of the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's a good one too, but not the OG.
So how does this like what is it? Literally the naval aspect that sets it apart from your typical like not even Assassin's Creed world, but like Ubisoft open world. Like, is that really the thing that makes it so much better? Just being able to explore the seas.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, compared to other Assassin's Creed, like I said, it's much less city based. Like,
Yeah.
there's literally no like you can't really run across a bunch of rooftops in a major city.
Yeah.
Like you can run across some shanties in like a little pirate town or something. But
Tortuga.
that's about it. Yeah, basically. So yeah, this is one of my favorite ones, but I would say it's not necessarily the masterpiece that some on this list are.
Speaking of masterpiece, you know what else you forgot? Metal Gear Solid.
Phantom
Pain. I was gonna ask you guys, like, do you even consider that open world with all the like?
It's an open world. It's not a masterpiece of open world design, though. Even though, as much as I love it, I can't really
No.
There's
give
like-
that my seal of approval.
There's a few buildings. There's some rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a few more buildings.
it's Afghanistan.
in the desert.
Yeah,
Tainting my list, Alex.
You know
doesn't
what-
belong in the best.
You know what it does have though? It has a gorgeous dog.
As a gorgeous
True.
big man, big boss.
No,
Love
the
him.
dog is the hero of that game. D-Dog.
Quiet.
Keep on going though.
Yeah.
Keep on
So
going.
we'll move on to like a real masterpiece, not like a fake masterpiece. All right. So when World of Warcraft launched in 2003,
Ooh.
I hope we're right.
I
we
mean,
should
we could
probably
check.
make
It's 2003,
2005.
Could be 2004.
I'm saying 2005.
You're saying 2005. Maybe it's 2005. No. Maybe.
It's
Maybe it
2004.
is 2005.
2005.
Maybe I'm thinking like beta or something.
2004.
2004.
Glad we checked that.
Damn.
All right. So when World of Warcraft launched in 2004, it introduced us to a fully immersive 3D Azeroth, the scope of which was seldom seen before. Over the last 15 plus years that the game has been around, the size and scale of this world has expanded to a breathtaking scale, with unparalleled variety in regions and zones, from bright woodlands, dark atmospheric forests, plains, jungles, grasslands, barrens, deserts, and mountains, snow-covered vistas, with endless flavor across the many races and cultures that inhabit the world. World of Warcraft is unmistakably a spectacle, even with age. This is a world that if you jumped in now, you could spend literally years of your own life exploring and still discover new things. So while it's the only MMO on this list, it's easily one of, if not the greatest open world of all time.
I agree, Joe. For a lot of people, they started with Warcraft 3 or 2, like myself. So when World of Warcraft came out, I actually didn't jump in right away. I was playing RO, Ragnarok Online. But when I eventually got around to Warcraft, it was incredible, especially coming from an MMO that was like 2D. Starting in Teldrassil, in this like mystical elf forest, and just being able to explore this whole thing. And then you realize that that is just a tiny island in Kalimdor, let alone Azeroth as a whole. And then you get there to the mainland and you realize that there's all these zones connected seamlessly for you to explore. It's crazy. Like back then, it was insane. And now again, as you kind of highlighted, it never stopped. They keep going. There was Outland, there was Northrend, there was Pandaria, there was what do they call it? The Outlands, Draenor. They just kept going with it. And I am not playing this game now. I haven't really liked where it's gone the last couple years, but you gotta respect it. And they did an incredible job with that world, and I love Azeroth. It's fantastic. We were talking about it earlier, and I'm like, man, I want to go back into Classic and get my guy back up because it's really such a joy going through, especially vanilla. A lot of people hate the leveling experience, but there is something really special about it.
I love the grind. Sounds great.
The grind, it is a bit much, but the world itself, it's just the base world and the first couple expansions. There is something really special about it. Like they did an incredible job. There's just a lot of soul in the game at that point.
Yeah, I feel like I was very late to coming to. I feel like I really started playing a little bit in like when Draenor came out.
Warlords, that's when you got in hard. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I had played other MMOs which were much newer than that. And even coming from them, I was like, holy crap, like this world is massive.
Yeah.
And like you can fly over it and everything, you're like, okay, it's just big. But then you fly into a little area and you start doing some stuff. You're like, I could spend like days just here.
Yeah.
And that's just one random speck in this massive, like endless sea of like content
crazy.
that is this world. It is literally insane.
It's the world of Warcraft.
It just has
It feels like you like are in an actual
100%.
world. Like it's almost as overwhelming to explore the whole thing as it is to like get on a plane in real life and fly to like Mexico or something. You're like, holy crap.
Like when you're in Stormwind, it's like super busy and there's a lot going on. And when you're in like Winterspring, it's like super calm and like tranquil. Like there's such
much detail.
vibes and I don't know. There's so much feeling in that game. I don't know.
Sick.
The soundtrack is incredible. Like just the first couple expansions, incredible game.
And I would say I don't know if we'll ever get a world that's as handcrafted and detailed as that ever again.
Yeah.
Just because like the amount of money World of Warcraft made to be able to sustain that. And now MMOs are kind of a dying thing. Like you're never going to have that much money going to probably an MMO for a long time.
What other game do you get like 15 plus years to like
Of
chip away at
constant
like
development,
you know, creating this world like the way you
With a
the
budget
developers
that's
could want, like you
massive,
actually
yeah.
could get it to the point. Like imagine if Witcher 3 had 15 years of like constant upgrades.
Yeah.
Like imagine how sick it would be. Like that's kind of what World of Warcraft is.
Yeah.
The other crazy thing is I don't think there's too many teams out there that could do it. Like I don't think Blizzard now could even make World of Warcraft again.
I don't think Blizzard can make work. They've literally,
Yeah, exactly.
They literally did just try to make it again, and it's not as good.
I know.
So
Like,
And the thing is, most of these big worlds today are moving towards procedural generation, so they're not necessarily as handcrafted. So it makes you wonder: can you ever really capture the same soul as if it's lovingly handcrafted by a team that just really loves the world and the lore that they're working with?
It makes me sad. It makes me sad that we're moving these games that have been like hallmarks of gaming in our generations, and they're kind of fading away.
Yeah,
changing the guard.
Kind of sad.
yeah. All right, and the last one on our list, and no, it's not Minecraft. It is.
Jeez, I would be really fucking surprised if it was
I've
Minecraft.
been
You know what?
playing-
A lot of people would put
I'd
that
get
on a list.
I
like
would
this.
fucking get up.
A lot
I've
of
been playing a
people
lot of
put that on.
Minecraft with the girls. We've been playing a lot of Minecraft.
That's like-
A lot of people classify it as like open world game, and
Technically, I guess.
all right, so the final one, Red Dead Redemption 2. Set in a fictionalized version of the American South and West, this is, to me, the most visually stunning and immersive world ever created in a video game. With quaint, charming towns, outlaw holdouts, bustling cities, which capture the juxtaposition of civilization and lawlessness of the time, this is a world that is a lot of fun to interact with. You can rob, steal, mug, insult, taunt, partake in a gunfight, charm and scam your way to riches, or just enjoy some movies, get a haircut, some new clothes, and walk around the town. Yet the best moments come when you leave civilization behind and head into the sometimes daunting wilderness for a little R&R, or a little hunting, or to lay low while you wait for the heat to come off your outlaw head. Bundling up in your warmest clothes, stocking up on food, and heading to the mountains is intimidating and time-consuming enough that it feels like a real trip. while never taking so long that you get bored of the amazing scenery around every corner. While there is plenty to do, simply going for a relaxing ride throughout this world is often reward enough in and of itself.
Wow, Joe. Wow.
Yeah, I love this world. You can tell.
You know what? I've played enough of this world to totally pick up on everything you're laying down there.
Yeah.
I love how this world captures society at like a turning point.
Yeah.
Because they're like moving towards like more industry, and that kind of like cowboy way of life is like dying out. And it's really cool how like that much can be communicated just from little interactions in the world with like the NPCs and just like little, things that you see, like not necessarily in a heavy-handed way, like in terms of like talking about it. Like you just have this sense of like times are changing. This world is dying out. Here's the new world. And like, how am I going to fit into this as this guy? Arthur Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really cool. Beautiful, absolutely
Insane.
Beautiful, breathtaking scenery. If I played it literally on a different month, I probably would be like, wow, this is the best. And this episode's really making me have some deep regrets for not giving Breath of the Wild more time I sold my Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't really feeling it. I liked it, but it was like it was
A lot of
overwhelming.
people get thrown off by the controls.
Overwhelming, and the controls fucked with me big time.
Yeah.
And I was also just going through a bad time. So I got rid of it, but I wish I still had it on my shelf.
Yeah.
Because that'd be something that I'll probably play it again. And I'll probably will play it. I'll give it another try sometime. I hate leaving things left unsaid. Like, when you know there was something there, but you didn't.
Be like me with The Witcher 3. You go back and play it. It'll be the greatest game you ever played.
Yeah. I just need to map those controls or something and do something.
You get used to them. Yeah. But I think for me, like the biggest thing that I was like, wow, with this game was, so as you know, I have a projector, so I played this on like 150-inch screen, and it's amazing. Like, go to the mountains.
We know your mountain story. It's been on the podcast a few times.
Has it?
Tell it again, Joe. I want to hear it again.
But seriously, I remember playing this game for like a week straight, and I remember like literally just, like I said in here, bundling up, going into the mountains with my rifle, feeling like this is a crazy adventure. Beautiful. And then I remember in real life, I went to the Rocky Mountains and I was disappointed. I was like, damn, like it looks nice, but like those mountains are all the way over there.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go walk into them.
No.
Like, so I just feel like I got a much better experience playing the game. You want the mountain life?
It's the beauty of video games, man.
Yeah. But I feel like that's the first game where I was like, holy shit, the game's better than reality.
That's a game where you could just live a life. You could not play the game if you wanted to. You could just get up, have your coffee in the morning.
You totally could.
Shave.
Yeah.
Have a shower.
Go hunting.
Go out hunt all day.
Yep.
Set your traps, come back and check them later.
Do a little fishing.
You could do that. You don't have to play the game.
Just keep your character alive. Every day you get up.
Exactly. Feed yourself.
Feed yourself.
Like you could live it. Like that's cool that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like
light your fire, sit around the fire.
Yeah. Trade some stories, play some poker. Like it sounds all great. It sounds lovely.
Yeah.
You need time. You need to think. You can't play this game for half an hour.
This is not a game that you want to rush. And no, you don't want to play it for a half hour.
No.
You want to sit down and just spend an afternoon doing nothing in the game, basically.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's not always necessarily what I love about video games, but I appreciate that's a flavor that's being, satisfied out there.
And you know what's the greatest thing about this game? I feel like Red Dead Redemption Online has been a massive failure, and I fucking love that.
It has been, like, I thought, look at Grand Theft Auto 5, they're going to do that.
I think it comes down probably to those controls.
Probably the controls, and also just, like, you can't have as much cool shit when it's set 200 years ago.
No, that's true. And people just like getting nice cars and planes.
Yeah, you can't, like, you're only going to get so much, like, rustic old shit that's going to, like, it can only do so much if you want it to be realistic.
Yeah.
And that's why I originally thought Cyberpunk, which is an open world we're not going to talk about because of its myriad problems and whatnot. But I felt like that was going to be the new Grand Theft. I felt like that's what their plan was, and it might still be. They might have pivoted from that plan now, CD Projekt Red, but that's kind of what I was thinking was going to be the next Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
But it hasn't panned out that way.
Nice. Anything to say, Alex?
There is. So no, not even about this specifically. I've come up with a game idea. What is your dream? If you could come up with an open world game, what would it be?
Ooh, damn, that's
Like
putting me on the spot.
like an open world, like a type of game.
Like just if you could have like an E3 announcement of an open world game by whatever studio you wanted, what would it be? Like think out there, not like realistic.
like like an IP that
Like an IP.
exists.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Okay, if that's fair, that'd be good. That's
s-
great.
Was Knights of the Old Republic open world?
There's a lot of load screens, but I'd say it's open world-ish.
Um,
But I'm talking like on the scale of like Red Dead Redemption.
I mean, this is the thing we've said forever. We've always wanted this, Alex. Pokemon open world.
Of course.
A true Pokemon open world game.
Of course.
There was points where we were like, oh, a Pokemon MMO would be great. Or a Pokemon, like, an open world.
We're getting that.
Probably a combination of those two things.
We're getting that.
We're getting with Arceus.
Yeah.
That's not what I mean. I mean a modern Pokemon world where, like, an open world game where you could go to essentially all the regions, you know, all the Pokedexes within those regions. You can collect. Those Pokemon live in those actual regions.
Right.
Obviously, there's some that live in all of them or whatever. And, you know, you got your badges in these different regions. You can get all the badges from Kanto. You can go to Johto, get all that shit. You can battle people, like, on the fucking spot.
That'd be cool,
You could do all that sort of thing. But there would have to be an online element, too. I'm thinking, like, more of, like, I don't know what's a world that does this, but, like, not an open world, but, like, a, you know, almost like a Demon Soul sort of thing where there's other people playing the game,
Yeah.
but you're not necessarily interacting with them all the time. You could still be the guy in the world.
Yeah.
But it's Pokemon, so you'd still need to be able to battle with people in some way to make it really fulfill the potential of what
Just
it
meet
could
them
be.
at gyms or something like that.
It'd have to be an MMO of some
and
kind.
honestly,
essentially.
I hate to say it because Alex is gonna hate me, but Pokemon Go does a lot of this shit right.
Yeah.
But it's trapped on a very specific sort of device and whatnot. But a lot of that stuff that Pokemon Go does in a proper open world game with like a proper budget and development time, it could be so good. It could be so amazing. But we wanted this forever.
You guys got me thinking when you're talking about Red Dead Redemption 2. You know what'd be awesome? Rockstar takes what they learned about like that time period, takes it, moves it over to California, does a Legend of Zorro game
Fuck, Alex.
where you're Zorro, like Antonio Banderas, like Don De La Vega, whatever his name is. You're like playing politics, but then you're also
Antonio-
like assassinating people. No, it's not. It kind of looks like Antonio Banderas, but not exactly.
So out of left field.
Slightly off. You know what I mean? So you don't have to pay him anything. But then it's like Assassin's Creed bumped by Rockstar. Would that not be sick as
I would
shit?
fuculd play it just because like
I would
holy
have
shit.
low expectations of that game.
Legend
though.
of Zorro. You're
I would
like
have pretty
a
low
master swordsman.
expectations.
There's all. Oh my god.
The Legend of
that'd be cool.
Zorro, Breath of the.
I think there's more. I think there's more compelling IP out there.
No man, that'd be sick.
But you know
I like
what?
how I say
Underexplored.
Pokemon. Alex says the Legend of Zorro.
I would have thought you would have said like
would never would've guessed.
Evilise or something
Oh,
like
man, I
that.
was trying to.
Legend
I
of
was trying
Zorro,
to come from
fucking
somewhere
open
else.
world. That's
Yeah.
I love it. Let's go with that. I want that.
Okay.
Fuck the Pokemon open world game.
Want that
Nintendo should make that. Nintendo should make it.
Nintendo. Oh my god.
Nintendo
that'd
and
be
Rockstar team development.
incredible. God.
Legend
It's
of
just,
Zorro.
it ties with Red Dead Redemption timeline, but it gets away from the cowboy motive.
Oh, this is part of the Red Dead Redemption universe.
no, they would be a standalone, but it would be the same team, right? Because they could take
Okay.
what they learned about like horseplay and that kind of stuff and bring it over.
And they could have
It
just like very little like Easter eggs
yeah,
related to
sure.
Nintendo and
You know,
Rockstar.
You can just throw it into Red Dead Redemption. Why not? Why not? Right?
That's the next
They should just
expansion.
make a DLC.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the DLC. The Legend of Zorro
It would be amazing.
that would fit.
expansion.
How many Zorro games do we have?
We brought out of any.
He's like the original Assassin's Creed.
What?
I mean,
like,
I feel like Prince of Persia
So,
was the
Alex,
original Assassin's
your
Creed.
cat's
Before
name is
Zorro?
Zorro.
Yeah.
What is it? What do you love? The Legend of Zorro or something? You clearly
No,
must.
both. I do like the Legend of Zorro, though. I did really like that.
That's great.
I thought those were fantastic movies when I was younger.
Yeah.
But it's also named
Movies,
after.
there's more than one.
Yeah, there's two.
Antonio
with
Banderas and
Antonio
what's the
Banderas,
girl?
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
But
I didn't know there was two Legends of Zorro.
there is this Legend of Zorro and then the
Mask of Zorro or some shit.
There you go.
Now I want to watch.
I don't know if
them.
that's
Now
what
I
it's
want to go
called.
watch. them.
Joe,
What
they're,
I'm,
act-
I'm guessing it's the Mask of Zorro though. That's what I
they're great movies.
That's hilarious.
They're not probably not really great movies, but I love them. No, it's him but it's also, and because he's all black and you get like the little white mustache.
Yeah.
But then also Zoro from One Piece. I was really into One Piece around that time too.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like the samurai guy with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
3 swords. Yeah. But yeah, I think that'd be Zoro. Be fantastic IP for an open world game.
That's
It
sweet.
literally would be. We're making fun of it. It would be a great game for an open world game. A great IP for an open world game.
Yeah.
Joe, did you have an IP that you wanted to?
Well, I just said Star Wars.
Oh, you
I
said
was
Star
going
Wars, yeah,
but,
That's
like, we
actually the
kinda
correct
have-
answer.
But at the same, I mean, I have another one here. Just Evilise.
Sure.
Yeah. Hell
Have
yeah.
it have it in the same setting as like
Evilise
Tactics.
is one of the best worlds, and there's a lot of lore. There's a lot of
I
different,
would say set it in
a lot of
Tactics. Have
different-
like Ramsden.
there's a lot of different epochs of Evilise, like different
There
shit that
is.
like there's
Yeah.
different eras. You
Yeah,
know?
I'm talking specifically like
like
the Tactics.
12 is set before Tactics.
Era.
like way in the past.
Yeah.
And Vagrant's story is set after Tactics. Like there's a lot of lore they could draw from.
In 14.
I want to go to
It's
the
way after
Squeegee Woods.
Tactics.
Squeegee Woods? Squeegee
Joe, it's called the Siege Weld now.
what?
In the War of the Lions enhanced port for PSP, they've renamed it.
Oh.
They renamed most of those.
We're actually missing some major Final Fantasy Tactics lore. Right? Like a lot happened in 14. Like they actually,
Did they go to Evilise or some shit?
yeah, they
Eorzeal,
go.
right?
No, they go to Evilise, and there's a guy who looks just like Ramza, and they go into the dungeon where they fight
crazy.
Ultimecia. And I think if somebody can correct us,
Ultimecia.
whatever her
That's
name.
like
Sorry, what's her name?
Final
In the deep dungeon.
No, not the. It's the place like the. It's like the church place where they go deep.
Yeah, the deep dungeon.
No, not after deep dungeon.
The
Where-
deep dungeon is like that's like the dungeon where it's
secret
literally
dungeon.
dark.
Yes,
It's
I
literally
think they
black.
do go there too, or some with the Zodiac is related
Yeah.
to the actual story, but they go into where they fought the angel thing on the boat, and
Ultima. It's Ultima.
something
like that.
I don't know, but anyway,
You were right. I know where you
It's
said Ultima.
something like that.
ALTI, like Ultima, but with an A.
yeah,
Yeah.
they go down there, and apparently you fight a lot of the party members. Like you fight Orlando, you fight Mustado
Fucking
or
sick.
whatever.
That's sick.
But they died. That's in this storyline. They didn't actually escape. Ramza and his whole group died and became like
But that's-
evil,
I-
corrupted
I
spirits. or
thought
something
everyone
fucked
did
up.
die. I thought only Ramza like lived because you see him riding off on the chocobo.
I don't know. I don't even know the actual story. Maybe someone tell us one day. Joe, we started back in 14 with the hopes
Yeah.
of getting there. We just
There's a lot of content
Sounds sick.
to still do. We tried to go back. It didn't work out.
I got through
You
the
went much
A Realm
further.
Reborn stuff almost.
You were cruising.
Yeah, it was fine.
You were cruising. Yeah. You're way ahead of me.
It's a lot.
All right.
You should
Well,
join Jeremy.
that's all we've got. So that was our recap of some of the greatest open worlds in video game history. Let us know what you think, and if there's a world that we left out that you think deserves to be on this list, please let us know.
Good job, Joe. Good job with the podcast, man. I had fun.
Nice.
It's nice.
Yeah, good job, Joe. Good podcast.
All right. Should I say goodbye?
No.
No?